Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan. Welcome to the Biker Devotional. Today is April 23rd, 2025, and we are looking at Proverbs chapter 23. Proverbs chapter 23, and let's do verse 17. Actually, let me read verse 12 for you first, and then we'll see what Solomon has to say about verse 12 in verse 17 and 18. Verse 12 says, "Apply yourselves to instruction or discipline, and listen to the words of knowledge." Solomon says you need to listen. You need to apply yourself in your actions. And then in verse 17, one of the things that he's telling his sons to listen to and apply in their lives is, do not let your heart envy sinners. Instead, always fear the Lord, for then you will have a future and your hope will never fade. Have you ever had a situation where you knew that, there was a thing that you wanted and it really wasn't in line with what God had planned, and you thought to yourself, it's not fair? If you said no, you're a liar. We all have. We all have experiences with things that we long for, we see the world have, and we know that it's not really in line with what God has to say. It may not be wrong in general, but it is wrong for you in that moment, even. And you know it. Maybe it's, that you're supposed to be at church on Sunday and the rest of the world is watching the Super Bowl. And so you go to your pastor and say, "Hey, pastor, can we put the Super Bowl on the big screen so everybody can come to church and watch the Super Bowl? That way we can be at church and watch the Super Bowl at the same time." Knowing that what you should be doing is participating in that study that the pastor's been putting on for weeks about whatever it is that you need that information for. Well, Solomon tells his sons, apply yourself to that discipline or that instruction. Listen to the words of knowledge. And one of the things he says is, don't let your heart envy sinners. Instead, always fear the Lord. I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of things that I know God wants me to do, and I still am on the edges of it, or crossing over. And they're not things that the world would call sin, but they're sin for me in that moment because it's getting in the way of what God wants me to do. And God's working on me on those things. Yep, it's discipline, correction. I don't like it. I'm betting you don't either. I have always rebelled against correction, and I am not saying that's a good thing. That is a very bad thing. But I am learning the fear of the Lord. I'm learning what that really means. And it's not the same fear that drove me to Jesus in the first place, but it is a fear nonetheless. Someday, and I already experienced some of it, but someday I want to live there in a much greater way, so that I can have a hope that will never fade. I still have those moments where I'm doing my own thing and hope fades. I can't wait for the day that I can be who He calls me to be. It's a battle. It is. Paul talked about it as well. Things I want to do, I don't do, and the things I know I should do, I don't. it happens. But I continue to fight the fight. I continue to press forward. I continue to apply myself to instruction, discipline, listening, gaining wisdom and knowledge. How about you? Guys, I know sometimes they're a little deeper than others, but I think it's an important one today. Hold on to it. Meditate on it. Think about it today. Don't let your heart envy sinners. Instead, always fear the Lord. Then you will have a future, and your hope will never fade. I love y'all. Have a great day. God bless.